Got it. Getting a little loud now.
Okay guys, so just did a review on Mechanic, so if you haven't watched that yet, please go check that video out. Check out my other review I did a while back. It was on my TX22, so go check out my channel. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more content. I love guns. I love reviewing these guns. I love hearing comments. If you guys have information that I'm not including, please drop it in the comments. You know, I'm relatively new to the whole gun world. I've been around them all my life, fired guns all my life. But as far as purchasing and trading and doing things of that nature, you know, really digging in, just enjoying guns, this is my first year, really. I'm probably 6 to 8 months deep in buying guns and you know, trying to find ammunition in the middle of all this chaos that is the COVID-19 pandemic and whatever might, you know, with the election, whatever has affected the ammo shortage. I really didn't pick a great time to get into guns, but then again, when is a bad time to get into guns? You know, other than the lack of availability and the cost right now, guns are still awesome. So if you do like this content, please help me out. Subscribe to the page, press the like button, and do leave a comment. I want to hear from you guys. So if you have extra information on the gun or a correction to the information that I've shared, please drop a comment and let's all learn about this together. So let's get right into it. Like I said, I just did a review a few minutes ago on Mechanic. And now I'm going to do a review on my most recent handgun purchase. This is the Keltech PMR-30. And I will slide the safety up there. You have to have this rack back. It doesn't have a mag, doesn't have a round in it. I'll check that just to be sure. I do stress safety first. So I purchased this gun a month or two ago, I guess. And one of the main attractions of this gun is this 30 round magazine. This is chambered in 22 Magnum, and 30 rounds of 22 Magnum in a pretty typical, you know, barely full-sized handgun is awesome. 30 rounds is attractive no matter what round you're shooting. So these magazines, I will get into a little bit later. To me, and someone could feel free to correct me if they think I'm wrong on this, or it's at least open for debate, I suppose. For me, the magazine has been the cause of any and every malfunction I've had, and I have had several. But I think it is correctable with the way you load these magazines. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. There's always the argument, well, if you buy a good gun, then you don't have these issues. And no, that's not necessarily always true. You know, Keltech makes a quality weapon. This isn't a cheap handgun by any means. This is around a $500 handgun. So it's not a budget handgun, in my opinion. You know, if you're buying upper end handguns all the time, then maybe this would be a budget gun to you, but not to me. It's just these magazines just need some breaking in, and you do have to load them kind of particularly, or you'll have some feeding and ejecting issues. So I'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, this is a Keltech PMR-30, manual safety. It is ambidextrous. Slide release is only on the left side of the gun for a right-handed shooter. The slide release is pretty tight, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of hard to press, especially when I first got this gun. It's kind of hard to press, and I did go ahead and pop the pin, the breakdown pin out. It is right here. It's similar to like a Ruger or something of that nature. Just has a little pin in the middle of the gun here that you pop out to break it down. This one is still pretty new, so it is stiff. I did have to take a hammer and a little pin that I had that was smaller than this hole and just tap it out. It comes out pretty easy with that, and I have read reviews that say once you kind of get that pin broken in a little bit, you can pop it out with your thumb. So I'll go ahead and break this gun down. Since it doesn't have a pin in it, you want this to be racked back like it had one in the chamber. Obviously, you don't want it to be loaded, but you do want it to be racked back because if you pull the trigger before breaking this gun down, before taking the slide off, this mechanism will pop up and you won't be able to slide the slide forward. So if you're having that issue, rack it back and then push the slide forward. Because with a lot of weapons, with a lot of guns, you do have to pull the trigger before you take the slide off. With this one, it's the opposite. You don't want to pull the trigger before taking the slide down. What we have here is our recoil spring. This thing is a little bit tricky. You want to, and I'll try to slide it to where I can let y'all see it here. You want to just pull it the best you can. And I just kind of passed it off to my other finger there. This thing, when I first took it off, the first 2 times I think I took it off, it was pretty difficult, pretty stingy to deal with. So be aware of that, but after the first time, it does get better. And then you have your little rubber guard in here that aligns the recoil spring over the barrel, keeps it in line. And then you have a sliding chamber here that locks over the top of the barrel. So you want to pull that all the way forward, and as you can see, there are little notches in here, and then on the bottom as well. And so you have to have that lined up with the barrel to keep the barrel in the right place, and you have to have it lined up with those notches for it to come out. So then you just pop your barrel out, and you are broken down. So just pretty basic. It's a very thin slide. Obviously very small barrel, 22 Magnum. Not much of a feed ramp, and that is one thing I think that they could improve. I think besides the magazines, that would be the contributing factor. The biggest contributing factor to any feeding issues this gun might have would be that there isn't a definite feed ramp. There are a couple of little forks there, other than that, there's just not really a definite feed ramp, and so that's one thing I'm not a huge fan of myself. You might be okay with that. If you are, that's cool. I think that could definitely be improved. So that's just me. I think I actually had that upside down. Yeah, so that would be, this side would be your feed ramp here. I highlighted the wrong end. That would be your feed ramp. And then, yeah, there's just really not much of one there. So to me, that could definitely be improved on this barrel. So putting it back in, you just want to make sure your feed ramp side, the side with one tongue there, is facing upward. And then you want to pull it down here to where you can match this up. You see those little tongues on this fit into the grooves. Locks it on top of the barrel. So we have that in place. Then you want to put your little rubber guard back on here, like that. And then you want to make sure that when you put this in here, you've got it in there the right way so that will pop out, compensating for you to be able to get the spring back in. And then you just pop it back down in there. We are reassembled. You have to match, just like with any gun, you have to match the slide back up. That pops into place, and you release your trigger if you pull it back all the way there. So I will show you this trigger. It has quite a bit of uptake at the first. Let me get my safety off. A little bit of uptake, and then that's one thing I don't care for about this trigger is you don't really know when it's going to break. That's one thing I highlighted in my TX22 review and in my Canic review as well, is that they both have an excellent trigger, very crisp break. They vary in uptake a little bit. The Canic doesn't have as much, and you know, pretty clean break, but this one doesn't have as much uptake. It's just that break I'm not a fan of. I can't really tell where the wall is, because right there it feels like I'm going to break, and then I don't, and then I do. So that might just be me. This is a trigger. It's not a bad trigger. It's a good trigger. It could be a lot worse. And this is rimfire, but Keltech has said that for some, you know, for educational purposes or for some slight dry fire, this gun is safe. You don't want to do it, you know, 1,000 rounds a day or anything like that, or even 100 rounds a day of dry fire. But you know, a little bit for these types of purposes isn't too bad. So yeah. Other than the trigger, I really like the gun, and I do like the trigger. It may be something that I would upgrade eventually. I've seen like Tandem Cross and a few other companies have very affordable trigger upgrades. I have a friend of mine has a CP-33, the Keltech 22 long rifle, chambered. Well, it has a 33 round magazine, and it's a little different in structure, but now the trigger on it was very similar to this one, and then he put the Tandem Cross trigger upgrade on his, and a few of the other upgrades as well, and it was quite a bit better to me as far as uptake and break and reset. I will mention that I failed to mention that, I think. So there's the break, and then here's the reset. Okay, so that resets quite a bit. I'll do that one more time because I didn't do a great job of. Okay, I didn't do a great job of showing that. There's the reset. So kind of sloppy, kind of long. I'm not a huge fan of the trigger, but it's a good trigger. Overall, I love the gun. I will go into now some of the issues that I've had. So when I first shot this thing, man, it was every couple of rounds at best I was getting a stovepipe or a failure to feed, and I'd already heard that before I bought this gun, that when you bought it, you know, you did have some of those issues. There's so much to love about this gun that you kind of, you know, can deal with that if you think it's something you can fix, and it is something that I'm working out of it slowly. Because of the weight of this gun, it's so nice. You've got the good Picatinny on the bottom there. I have had a laser and flashlight mounted on the bottom here. It makes this gun pretty cool, if that's worth anything. I'm not sure it is, but it is a cool gun, and it feels good in the hand. Very accurate, extremely accurate. I've seen videos and personally shot this gun probably 30, 40 yards. And been pretty dadgum accurate with it. So that's a plus. I think it's around a 5-inch barrel on this gun. And other than the feeding issues, it has been a great gun. The magazine needs to be loaded particularly. So Keltech actually, I believe, released a video on how to load this magazine properly, and that helps a lot. My main thing is when you're loading the magazine, before you shoot any rounds out of this gun, I would recommend cramming all 30 rounds in there, because the last 10 get difficult. The first few times you load these, it comes with 2 of these. The first few times you load these, it's difficult. I mean, it kind of hurts your hand because they get tight around the last 5 or 10 rounds. I would recommend going ahead and taking both magazines and loading them fully, and then maybe taking your gun to a safe area and just racking the rounds out to see if you can get it to feed, or maybe even just doing it with your hand, just sliding them out. And so when you load it back, every 5 rounds or so, just take the mag and tap it, which a lot of people do that with all their magazines, so that shouldn't be that big of an issue. Just tap it to make sure that the rims of the rounds stay locked like they should and they don't get out of place, and stay toward the back of the magazine, because you don't want them to nosedive when they come up. That was the main issue I was noticing that was causing a lot of my problems, was the rounds nosediving at the top and getting jammed in the magazine. So, yeah, I noticed that the more I load these, the looser that spring gets. And you can take these apart, oil them up, you know, whatever you want to do to try to help decrease some of the tension. You know, tension is good to a degree in a magazine, but this one was a little bit overkill. It was pretty stiff. It was pretty difficult getting these in at first. So I would load these 3 or 4 times and unload them before I fired a single round through this gun. And like I said, every 5 rounds or so, just tap them to the back of the mag. One thing I don't think I mentioned was the sights. There are twin fiber optic sights on the back, fiber optic on the front, green on the front. I love how this thing pictures. It's got a really good sight picture with the 3 fiber optic sights, and then the color contrast from the back to the front. You can change these. Keltech in the box does send interchangeable fiber optics. I think there's a white and a green and maybe another orange or red. I can't remember for sure, but I think there are like 3 different interchangeable sights that you can switch in and out with this thing. So the Keltech PMR-30 22 Magnum, pretty good gun. I really love it. It's a lot of fun to shoot. You know, it's perfect. I'm going to use it in a kayak a lot. If I'm in the woods, this would be a gun that I might stick in my waistband. I'm about to purchase an inside the waistband for this because it's so thin. It'd be very comfortable to carry, and it's so light you wouldn't even really ever know it's there. So it would be a great thing to have on you. You know, 22 Magnum isn't necessarily the round that everybody wants for personal defense. I think it would be an adequate round in certain situations. Definitely be better than nothing. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have this gun for my, my kayak and woods, fishing, hunting type gun to keep on me, for small predators or whatever I might need that for. So, just try to like and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was thorough enough for you guys. And please comment what you'd like to see as far as the structure of my content. Please let me know what you'd like to see, if I could make any changes to make the videos more desirable or more enjoyable. Just let me know. And y'all please like and subscribe and drop all your comments. I'd love to read them. And I'll see you next time. God bless y'all.